Hey everybody. This tutorial we're going to discuss sort of the essentials of knitting. The knit stitch. It's kind of hard to knit if you don't know the knit stitch. So what I have before you is a little sample piece of stockinette. Stockinette meaning that the entire front edge of the fabric that you see here is knit stitches. And then as I turn my project around, or my little sample, the entire back is purl stitches. So we're just going to focus on the knit stitch to start, how to achieve that, and then we'll discuss the purl stitch. One of the cool things about knowing both knitting and purling is that you can achieve pretty much a huge variety of patterns. So it's really good practice to just get really great at it. So I'll start by showing you. You want to hold your project in your left hand, your working side with your working yarn. And to start off, you want to make sure that your yarn is behind your work to do the knit stitch. That's very important. You have to have it behind. Now, my fingers are kind of crazy because I'm trying to make sure that they stay out of the way so you can see what's happening. But we'll go nice and slow so you can watch. So you're going to take your right needle and you're going to insert into the left side of the needle, or left side of the loop. And as you can see, it's passing all the way through. Then from here, I'm going to take my yarn, I'm going to lift forward towards my face and lift up and over. So you want to loop like that. You're going to hold it nice and tight, and you're going to pull the loop through the other. So now you have a loop on your right needle, and you're going to slip. This is kind of scary the first time you do it, but you're going to slip that other loop off the left needle. So you're passing your loops from your left needle to your right as you create them. So I'll show you that again. So you go under, you wrap around. So again, towards you, up and over. Keep that tension in the left working yarn, and you're going to pull that loop through, and then you're going to slip off the edge. So we'll do that a few times so you can see how it works in practice. Now I am what they call a continental knitter, and what that means is I like to hold my yarn and work it from my left hand. You'll see a lot of knitters who like to work the yarn from their right hand, which usually involves wrapping around. I'm not very good at it. Here, I'll show you how bad I am at it. So if you'll find what method, see, it's just easier that way. You'll find what method works best for you and what's the most comfortable. It should also be noted as I'm finishing up this row that I'm using much larger needles than is required for this yarn. So it's important that you read the label on your yarn when you purchase it. Make sure you read what size needle you're going to need. For example, these are 13s, and this yarn would probably require an 8 or a 9. So you can see it creates a larger loop and a different effect, and that's really up to you. You know what you want your gauge to be. But all right. So turning your project around, you're going to see the back looks completely different. This is your purl stitch in your stockinette. So this is what we call reverse stockinette, which means that it's just the opposite side. And you can decide which side of the fabric you want to be your right side or your wrong side, depending on what you like. So you can do this normal stockinette, which is what we just saw, or this reverse stockinette. So I'm going to show you how to purl now. So purling is actually the exact opposite of knitting. It's basically reversing the loop. So you're going to start first off by making sure that your yarn is in front of your work. Then from here you're going to take your needle and insert it from the right side, like so. So when we knitted, remember when we did a knit stitch, we came into the stitch from the left side and through the loop and crossed. This is different. We go from the right side, so we see the entire needle. Then from here, you're going to take that yarn, lift up and over, and pull through the loop. And then same thing as before, we're passing the loop, so you slip it off the left to the right needle. So again, you go in, lift up and over, through that loop, and then slip. So I'll show you a few of these. Now, as I'm going, one of the cool things that I find about knitting is that every time you see someone who knits, you notice that they do it a different way. Everyone has a different way of achieving the same idea. I think that's such a cool metaphor that we all are trying to achieve the same thing, but we all have to find our own way of doing it, our individuality. And my way of knitting may not be the same as anyone else's, and I love that sense of individuality that you can create. So there you have it. So we finished our row, and you can see we've created these little pearls, or these little beads underneath. That's kind of where the term purl comes from. And it's spelled P-U-R-L, not P-E-A-R-L, for the record. That's how you know it's a knitted purl. In a future tutorial, we'll talk about how you switch back and forth and combine your knit stitch and your purl stitch to create ribbing, to create all different types of stitches. And if you want to get a head start, you can check out my stitches gallery on my website, which will show you a couple of my favorite stitch combinations, some really beautiful patterns that can be created just from knitting and purling. So check that out. Hope you enjoy it, and thanks for stopping by.